The greatest place on the internet to find anything of nerdy goodness. I am joined today by my usual cast of characters. Eric.
Hi.
I'm Jeremy.
Hello.
We are minus a Max today for general reasons. Just couldn't make it out today. So we are going to kick things off straight with the hot topics of the nerding world. Twilight.
Yay.
Twilight Princess.
Boo!
That's Twilight. That's Twilight.
So, let's start off with what we know about Twilight Princess. Everybody is sort of moderately excited about the HD remake. I know I am.
I didn't even know it was a thing until like 2 days ago.
So
it's great.
So the fresh news is that Twilight Princess is a HD remake coming for the Wii U. Why not the NX? I don't know, it's a topic for another day, but what is really interesting about it is how amiibos interact with Twilight Princess. So, for instance, Zelda provides hearts, Link amiibo provides extra arrows, and Ganondorf makes things very hard. I think when you put Ganondorf in, touch it on the amiibo, Link suffers like twice the amount of damage as normal.
Is there any benefit to it, or it just makes it harder?
It just makes it harder.
Okay, that's fine.
The only actual, I guess, bonus of having the amiibo is the Wolf Link amiibo, where you actually get access to a brand new area.
That's it. Go ahead.
Where it's like roulette, where you get waves and waves of monsters and you have to beat your high score.
It's confirmed that the amiibo comes with the content, but it's not confirmed that the content will only come with the amiibo, right?
Right now, there has been a press statement released from Nintendo stating that it was going to be linked specifically to the Wolf amiibo.
Okay, so that sucks.
Yeah, because I don't know about you. I have 2 amiibo, both of Yoshi. I have the standard Yoshi and I have the Woolly World Yoshi.
Yeah.
And I don't play Smash. I don't play Mario Maker. I don't play anything else that would really require amiibo usage. And I find it kind of redundant that they're locking away this content specifically for the amiibo. While I understand it, I don't really like it. I would rather pay for the DLC on its own if I wanted the map,
right,
rather than the amiibo. Because right now, at least for all the other amiibos that I have, I know that I can use Yoshi with Mario Kart, or I can use it with Captain Toad, or I could use it wherever. Right now, the Wolf Link amiibo doesn't work with anything else at the minute, right? I know that they're talking about including it into the later series for everything else, yada yada. But right now you are paying for something that has one primary function and beyond that does nothing.
Beyond that, it's just a collectible. And I mean, granted, some people really like those, but personally, I hate amiibos.
I hate them too.
Just because to me, I'm not into the whole collectibles thing. Even the function that they do serve, that that you can save a character on Smash Bros, or that you can use I'm not even totally sure they work, but it's mostly cosmetic bonuses or very, very small bonuses so far, and that's fine. I don't hate them. I don't hate that they exist. Well, I didn't until this one, and I don't hate them in general. I just hate this one. But I dislike them. But for me, if you want to collect amiibos or little figures or whatever, you do whatever you want. I don't care what people do. But it's then when you can only get the dungeon or whatever it is, you get a piece of content that's you have to buy into their little figures. I think that's stupid, because those two things, they aren't linked the figure, haha, sorry for the pun, um, the Wolf Amiibo figure and the content are, I don't see the logic in needing them both on the same platform. Like, I don't need both. If I wanted the Amiibo, I just buy the Amiibo. If I just wanted the dungeon, I could just buy the dungeon. And I understand why they're doing it. It's a way of, fighting used sales or resale. So, and it comes packaged with if I remember correctly, it comes packaged with every physical new copy of the remaster. So if you buy it new, you're going to get the dungeon no matter what. And I understand why they're doing it. I just don't understand why it's linked to a piece of plastic that I don't give a shit about. I don't want it. It's useless clutter to me. And I know I'm not. Yeah, and again, if you want to collect those, that's on you. But don't force me to collect them just because you want to sell something. It's just stupid, and I don't like them. And I don't like that it's tied to a figure that I don't have any use for.
I agree.
I don't mind it in principle. It's the application of it that I don't like. Because at least with everything else, like if you are running around collecting Amiibo, there is some benefit to it because you get stuff in-game because of it, right? That makes sense, okay? But just having something that, that is so consequential. Like, it's akin to, and it's a totally bizarre analogy, but it's akin to like a map pack for like Call of Duty or something like that. That it is being locked away if you don't get X edition of Call of Duty, then you do not get X map pack. And that bothers me.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be that severe. I envisioned like, it's fun bonus dungeon that you play for like, I don't know, 45 minutes and then you're done with it. I don't predict that this is a significant piece of content. Like, it's not an entire dungeon that you're missing and that it's only going to give you Act 3 if you buy 14 Amiibos. I don't think that's going to happen. But even the fact, because I feel like the people who buy Amiibos are going to be the people that care more about different cosmetic skins or playing just a different character but that doesn't actually do anything, that would more enjoy, okay, I just like to see something different on the screen. That isn't, it has no impact on the game, or like it doesn't add anything other than adding something for you personally. Like having a skin in like a League of Legends or something, who cares? It doesn't do anything. It might make you like the character better, or it might be more visually appealing, but there's no content there. It's when, and even though this isn't a large piece of content, I don't know if I would say that it's quite as bad as like a map pack, maybe as like extra guns or something. They did that and called, I think Black Ops 2, they added a gun in that you had to pay for. It was a Peacemaker or something. But it's more like that, where it's like, okay, this has significant impact. It's not, you can't play the game without it, but it's crossing markets. Like the people who care about cosmetic things and figurines, I feel like operate, or they exist on like a different plane, and then the people who are buying DLC operate on a different plane as well. And combining those two is a little weird, because you're gonna have people that don't care about the dungeon, they just want the figure, and then you're gonna have people that only care about the dungeon and don't care about the figure. So it's bizarre, and I don't like where it's going.
It's an interesting trend that's going where, if we've had a lot of kind of ups and downs recently with the likes of kind of the Deus Ex, kind of, the pre-order stuff not going through there and sectioning off bits of content that people will then kind of be up in arms about. I'm kind of surprised that there's not that much retaliation to this, because it's very uncharacteristic of Nintendo to do something like this. And I'm surprised that more people aren't as, like, I understand in the scheme of things that it's, that it's a small chunk of something that people won't get access to unless they have, the Amiibo. But it's a sign of how far, Nintendo are willing to push something like this. And that's the more worrying side for me of, I'm more than willing to pay for content when I feel it's of value. It's more worrying because it's so un-Nintendo-y. that if they feel that they can get away with sectioning off such a small chunk of a game, then where are they going to push the next bit for it? Because suddenly are we going to get into, and we're going to be talking about this later on, about what Hitman has now become, where serializing a major franchise in terms of its episodic nature is, you know, how it's going to roll. And where do we as a consumer stand on, maybe we just want our $60 game, and maybe we want our Witchers, you know, and that's what sells for us, that's what makes us happy, rather than segmenting bits of content off to the nether regions, thinking that, you know, people will just pay for it and not question it. It's that trend that I'm more worried about.
Yeah, I feel like I think I'm worried about something smaller. I definitely see where you're going, and I agree with you in a larger sense with the Nintendo thing. It's mostly I just don't want this plastic thing. I don't want to have to buy. It's like if you buy a car and they're like, well, to buy this car, you got to buy this Sea-Doo or this boat. I'm like, I don't want the boat. I just want the car. But the only way to get the car is if you buy the boat. It's like, well, I don't want that. If I wanted the boat, I'd buy it. Like, I don't know. It's this mixing and matching of different stuff that I don't care about. It's I don't want all this. I want it simple. I want to buy with the Hitman thing. I know we'll go to it later, unless we're whatever. But
different with Hitman.
What's that?
It's a little different with Hitman.
Yeah.
Topic later, but because I love Hitman, I've been following a little bit of it. What the devs been saying, but they're like saying it's going to be episodic content, but you still have options of paying. You can just pay $60 all the way through. You never have to pay anything extra ever again. I mean, that's a little bit different, and I prefer that because the idea is all future content coming out is based upon how fans feel about it or what they want. So
yeah, I'm okay with options. I don't mind if you say, all right, here's another way to pay for it. If you want to buy this all at once, fine, do it. I'm okay. Or if you want to buy it all at once, you can do that. Or you buy it episodically. That's fine. I'm like totally fine. I do it how I want. And if they released the dungeon by itself for maybe a cheaper price, even more expensive, I'd probably buy it at a more expensive price because I don't even want that thing. But there are no options. They're saying if you want this, you have to do it this way. And you have to do it this inconvenient way. I don't like that. If I'm not offended at the idea that they're bundling it. If they wanted to do that, fine. It's totally fine. If you want to buy the figure and get the dungeon, totally cool. More power to whoever wants to buy that thing. But I don't, and I don't want to be forced to.
Real quick question. So how much are the amiibos?
I think they range.
Depends what one, and depends where you are in the world. So a standard amiibo here will cost you 17-18 euro.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So
I want to say it's like $15, but I don't know if that's true.
So, but if you are looking for rarer amiibo, you can easily go to Amazon listings for like stuff that has already run out of stock. So stuff like maybe like Lucario or something like that, and they would easily go for over $100 dollars.
That's insane.
And another question is, do you have to have your amiibo plugged in like at all times to use that content? Or?
No, you have to touch
I wouldn't
it
think
off
so.
It. You have to touch it off it. That's how it works. So there's a section on the Wii U gamepad where there's a little square, and when you're in game you can touch it off it. And that'll give you X content for it. So like a skin if you were playing Mario Kart, or extra hearts if you were playing, you know, Captain Toad.
Okay.
Yeah. Right, so it seems like the amiibos run from $13 to $20 generally for like a brand new one that's in stock. I'm not talking about like the collectible ones. So anyway.
Yeah, just DLC in general is getting out of hand. It's been like this for a while. And I remember watching you guys watch Mega 64? They're a video game parody YouTube channel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they had one called DLC the Game, where it's just like you're constantly just buying bits and pieces of it, and it's just like
I think Markiplier was playing it for a little bit. It's really funny.
Did you want to play this game? Yeah. Well, first you gotta buy the deluxe skin pack first, then the second deluxe skin pack. Okay, guys, it's getting kind of pricey here.
Yeah.
It's funny.
I think
It's a
I've
fun
been,
game.
I don't know, I'm okay with DLC as long as it's not obviously exploitative. And I don't feel like a lot has been. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that was just
Uh,
clearly horrible. And
I
like,
can.
go ahead.
I mean, well, I feel like Destiny is like a lot of it is DLC based, and anything by EA, Battlefield, Battlefront, definitely a lot of Call of Duty content. But Call of Duty isn't too bad, honestly.
Yeah,
If
because
you're looking at the base game, they give you a sizable amount.
they
But
got better
EA is
too.
pretty offensive about it. Like Battlefront is pretty offensive. It's just like here's like 4 main maps with night and day versions of it. You cannot play space battles. There are only like 4 hero classes. You cannot play any of the prequel trilogy content like you could back in Battlefront 2. And it's just like there is no campaign at all. And yeah, and so there you go. And everything else you got to pay for. Like, wow, thank you for completely destroying what Battlefront stood for.
Yeah, I think with that, I'm also a little more apt to excuse it because, and I don't know if this is an excuse, but I'm not up in arms about it because that game is not for me. That game isn't for people. I know it sounds strange, but that game isn't for people who play video games. It's for people who have like a PlayStation and they're like, I like Star Wars. It's for people who like Star Wars and for the people who like to play like Madden and Call of Duty.
Yeah,
It's it's
absolutely.
it's not for people who play video games. And I think if you look at it like that, it becomes a little better. And I think now that it's been discounted all the time. I keep seeing sales for it where it's been dropped to like $40. And I think they're still updating it with new maps. They had a battle for Jakku, and I think they have another free update. It could be mistaken. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure there's another free update. But the general person who is just trying to play Battlefront, they don't want to learn 12 maps. They don't want to have to learn something. They want to just jump in and be able to like shoot their friends. They don't want to have to spend hours and hours learning a game before they can play it. They want something just go, oh, Star Wars, I'm going to shoot guys. Oh, it's going to be fun. That you learn in like an hour.
It's a
So
different form of consumption, really,
Yes.
isn't it? You know?
Yes.
And it's one of the things, like, I am not a first-person shooter player. I am definitely, like, straight RPGs. And I, personally, even not somebody who doesn't come... sorry... from an FPS background, I thought the price of that was atrocious for what it was. You know, for here, over here, the cost of Battlefront was easily €90 for matches that you would easily drop in and out of, like for 10-20 minute stints.
Are you talking about the base game being
Yeah.
€90
Yeah.
or the game and the season pass?
No, like base game.
Okay,
And
that's weird.
yeah, I mean, like there are like it's like the example that I gave once about how in Australia the Pip-Boy edition that I paid here for Fallout 4 was the same value as the digital edition, standard edition, for them over there and
Yeah.
for them. So it just goes to show you how much value. You know, I think people immediately jumped on it because it was Star Wars, not
Yeah.
because they really understood what they were getting out of it.
Right.
Does that
And
make sense?
and they remembered, oh, I like Battlefront 2. It's going to be that. And no, that game was 10 years old. It's not. It's made by a different studio, but they see Star Wars Battlefront, and that comes bundled with a set of expectations that don't hold true for the new one. And I feel like a lot of people got stuck in their nostalgia for it, and they weren't looking at it for what it was. They were looking at it for what they wanted it to be, and since it wasn't what they wanted it to be, they were up in arms and pissed off and like, fuck this thing, it sucks.
But doesn't that bring a really interesting kind of view as to what value we put on these things? Because I'd say for those particularly driven by any sort of nostalgia factor, people would probably be more inclined to pay more for it. Hence probably the reason why they thought they could price Battlefield or Battlefront to be so, to be so expensive, because they could rely on that nostalgia kick, while the amiibo that, that Nintendo are trying to sell us that have the Mac Pack, we're going, no way, that's far too much because it's only, X content. And we all have a greater kind of estimation of what the value of things that we're willing to engage with is. I know personally I would probably throw money at anything that had Pokemon or Kingdom Hearts related or Tales related. I would throw money at it, regardless of what it is, because I'm invested in it. But give me something that I'm not so kind of crazy about, but something that I enjoy, like Zelda. I have more of an approximation of how much I am willing to spend at it due to how much I enjoy it. And it's really a case of being in an interesting time where that whole value set is completely different, and is so different for different people. Like, I wouldn't pay that amount of money for Battlefront, and I love Star Wars, but I still wouldn't pay it because it doesn't have a first person campaign.
Yeah.
I don't like multiplayer, really,
Yeah.
And it doesn't tick the boxes, therefore I think that it's overvalued due to my own personal sets of kind of standards.
Yeah.
While... Go on?
Sorry, I was just going to say to Jeremy, bringing up nostalgia and what we expect to come from a franchise series. Well, I mean, there is the element of people who bring their nostalgia as a bias, but at the same time, like as Laura and I pointed out, I mean, is there... I don't look at it from a point of nostalgia. I look at it as how pathetic is it that 2005 version had more content, just more content, versus 2015, where we're expected to pay for more content, and that's a load of shit to me.
Well,
and,
okay. Okay, so I think this is something I think about a lot too, whereas I think a lot of the time people say, oh, this has more content, therefore it's better. And I don't always agree, because I think if you look at the content that is in I haven't played it extensively at all, so I could be totally wrong. But from what I've heard, it's probably the most accurate Star Wars game that you're going to get. Like the feel
visually,
you get from it visually, and the visuals and the audio and every all the aesthetics are very Star Wars, and that everything is pretty to look at. The sound effects are pristine, and it looks Star Wars. And while it might be not that deep, it is what Star Wars is. Like, it's a perfect representation of it in a video game. Maybe not gameplay wise, but audio and visually, yes.
Right.
And
so that's the thing. It's about, like, here's my issue with that, and it kind of plays into how I felt about the movie as well. But I mean, I watched a lot of different reviews on Battlefront as well, like Angry Joe, etc. And they're just saying everyone's saying praising how it feels, how it looks, the aesthetics, but it's kind of just flash versus very more flash than substance. And
I agree.
I don't think we're in this day and age we have to sacrifice either, right? And the reason why we get the crazy, special effects is because it was a technology gap, obviously, So that's expected. Well, I guess what wasn't expected was, like, people were just expected, more to it. Like, there were things, I remember, if we're talking gameplay-wise, Angry Joe was super pissed about how, like, a weapon unlocks just didn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, once you got the pistol that Han Solo uses in the game, it's as powerful as, like, a heavy machine gun. Yeah. So it just didn't make any sense. Like, what kind of balancing is this? Little things that just don't make sense in the context of a shooter.
Yeah. And again, I haven't played it, so I can't speak to the specifics. But from what I've heard, I agree. I would have to agree with what you're saying, because of the sentiment I've heard is that it is just a shallow game. It's like it's like popcorn. It's not deep by any means. It's like a little kiddie pool. It has all funny looking graphics on it, but then you step in and it only reaches up to like halfway up your big toe. Like, it's not great, but it's like candy. Where it tastes good, but it kind of leaves you with a stomachache afterwards if you eat too much. But if you kind of take like little bites out of it, it's really, really good. And I think what it's trying to do is just be a Star Wars interactive thing. I don't think it was trying to be a really deep game experience, and it's trying to appeal to the widest possible install base that it can.
Absolutely.
That it's just trying to get anybody. It's trying to get your
course.
mom to play it. It's
course.
trying to get your 12-year-old sister who's never touched a video game to
Yeah.
play it. It's trying to get your 15-year-old brother who loves Star Wars but doesn't play video games to play it. And
Yeah.
I think if that's what they were trying to do, they shouldn't have made a very deep gameplay experience, because that would have alienated the average Joe from playing it, and would have been, oh, this game is too much, I don't want to handle it. Because I think if you got random people to play Star Wars Battlefront 2, it'd be too complicated. Like, there'd be too much stuff going on. It'd be like, I don't know what's going on, and give up. So yes, I agree with you that it isn't very deep at all, and that other games do it much better. But I don't think it was trying to do that. That wasn't its objective.
Well, right. I mean, EA is a master of
Yes.
marketing and taking your money, and they released it in coinciding with the film, and and it looks amazing. No one could deny how everyone was just losing their shit, orgasming over the, oh my god, Battlefront, and it's moved to next gen, even despite the fact that LucasArts got killed. And we're getting the next generation Battlefront made by DICE, the guys who made Battlefield. Man, this is going to be amazing. This is the best possible scenario. So a lot of it was, this is the perfect way how you sell stuff. You play upon nostalgia and hype, and you can sell anything. Like, as mediocre as it may be, it could have been a bag of dicks, and it still would have sold millions.
Absolutely.
So, on that note of selling millions, segue. What do we all think about Amazon's new game incentive to encourage people to buy new games instead of traditional mediums like going to GameStop and buying them secondhand? For those who don't know, Amazon is making a serious play for gamers' money, offering 20% discounts on all new and pre-released video games through Amazon Prime.
Well, it's for the first, the first 2 weeks of release. It's before it comes out and 2 weeks prior to release, they discount it 20%. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the discount only applies to physical games and expires 2 weeks after the game's launch.
Right, and it's for Prime members.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think it's good. Yeah, I'm not on Amazon Prime, so I can't use it, but yeah, and from what I've read, it's comparable to what we have is the Best Buy Gamer Club something. Best Buy has some kind of membership program where it effectively does the same thing, where you pay, I'll make up a number, $50 a year, and it might be even less, and it'll discount all of your new purchases 20%, and you get various other bonuses, like you get points towards stuff. But this seems like it's a play at that membership program that Best Buy has. Yeah, I think it works. I don't see any downsides to it.
Do you think it'll improve more kind of competitiveness, considering because this is obviously kind of aimed towards the gamers in the US space, obviously.
Yes.
And as the resident European, it doesn't necessarily have a significant amount of value for me, because we don't have Best Buy and stuff like that over here.
Yeah.
But it is really interesting to see that the likes of Amazon are taking the competitive nature of this seriously, where it's not just dominated by singular markets. Like right now here, the main players we only have one gaming retail chain in Ireland, and that's GameStop.
Yeah.
There is only 2 in the UK, that is GameStop and Game.
Yep.
And the rest of Europe is pretty much GameSpot. So we don't have that level of competition. Nobody is really investing in having a serious amount of competition. So do you think that the 20% discount will actually encourage gamers to shop on Amazon?
Yes, and I think it'll probably push people to buy new games more, because I think GameStop's revenue is mainly focused around used games, because they don't get as much of a cut from selling new copies. So they want to push used copies where they take, if not 100%, close to all the profit. When they sell a used game at $55 versus a new game at $60, they're making much more money off that $55 used game So I think it'll probably light a fire in GameStop's pants, but I don't think they're gonna have to do anything drastic. They might up their game rewards programs or something. They might do something similar where they'll knock 10, 15% off of a new purchase, but I think most of their revenue comes from selling and buying back used things. So this isn't quite eating into that market, but I think it'll still have a significant impact on them because Amazon will be kind of eating some of their cake, and kind of stealing some of their food off their plate. So I think they'll react. I don't think they're going to shit the bed, but they'll do something comparable. They'll knock some amount of money off of new games too. So
Yeah. I think yeah, it'd be pretty profitable for them. I know like when Witcher 3 had just come out, for some I don't know why, but like at Target they were selling Witcher 3 at like $45 or $40. And I was just like I immediately drove over and got that. And I didn't regret it. And even if I thought it was mediocre, that $20 off of the price tag is more than worth it. You don't feel like you've been cheated at anything.
yeah, yes.
Okay, cool. So next would be one of my favorite topics, which is Pokemon is celebrating its 20th anniversary, which
Yes.
I am super excited about. And if nobody actually talks about this with you, I am actually just going to go on about how much I love Pokemon for like an hour and a half until somebody goes, Laura, please stop. Enough with the Pokemon. Go on.
Question: how many Pokemon are confirmed now?
Oh god.
600 something.
Yeah.
Only 600? I thought it was well in the thousands by now.
No, it's
It's definitely
somewhere.
not into the thousands. I will be hugely
Damn.
surprised if it's in its thousands, but I don't think it is. Hang on, to Google.
I'm looking it up. It's 650. 721.
Damn.
All right. Yep. There we go.
Okay, cool. So 700 and what was the number you got?
721.
I got 770 including mega evolutions.
Oh, that's like different forms and
Yeah,
mega.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So actually, if you count the confirmed Pokemon, which is 719 Pokemon and 28 confirmed Mega Evolutions, but in code, it would like what's actually in the code. It is 721, and then 29 Mega Evolutions, which is 770.
Yeah.
So that is what the Google tells me anyway.
Yeah. It wasn't including was Hoopa and Volcanion.
Yeah, all the ones that the younger generations care about. Anybody who's been playing Pokemon from the get-go, what is everybody's favorite generation of Pokemon?
Gen 4.
I like the. I'm not sure which generation this was, but like, I have more fond memories playing like Pokemon Ruby around that time when you had like Rayquaza and Blaziken. That was kind of my favorite Pokemon.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Pokemon, Jeremy?
I don't even know. I liked 4th generation the best, not because I liked the Pokemon, but that's when I started playing the competitive metagame, and I think that's where it started, or it kind of became what it is now. Because before then, like 1st gen sucked. Oh my god. Like the competitive play was terrible. Nothing made sense.
Absolutely.
It's total garbage. Like rap, you just agility rap on a Dragonite, and like psychic type was totally broken.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Freezing, you couldn't unfreeze unless you got hit by a fire attack, and like crits were based on speed. It was total trash. 2nd gen kind of fixed it, but it's still weird.
I mean, the thing is with at least 1st gen, right? You only had 150. There was only like maybe 6 or 8 different types in all of that 150. So it was really easy to just kind of be like, to know what was the strongest after a while.
And there was a clear strongest. It wasn't even that it was like a rock, paper, scissors game. It was just like psychic is best.
Do I have Mewtwo? I win.
Yeah, well, he was banned in like the
Oh
smoke
yeah,
god
definitely. Oh
metagame,
yeah,
but he was just
definitely.
like Alakazam, and then you use Amnesia, and then there's
Rex Burkett.
yeah, that's it. It's like Psychic didn't have any weakness; it was weak to Bug, which only had crap attacks. Like it had like Leech Life and Twin Needle,
Bug
and
was
only
useless.
It it
Ugh.
Beedrill had Twin Needle, and Beedrill's garbage.
it really kind of it really upsets me how they built bug type Pokemon. And that's probably going to sound really weird to be upset about a specific growth pattern of a specific subset, but they seemed to, once you hit a certain peak of like evolution or leveling, they just became redundant. You know, they
What do
plateaued
you,
like and just became ineffective. Like I don't remember, except for deliberate attempts in terms of getting to Elite Four, etc., of ever managing to bring a bug type with me to for like completing the game as my kind of my sixth rotation.
I'm trying to think of any good ones. Scizor is good. There's good bug attacks, but I can't think of it like any good bugs. Scizor is the only one that comes to mind. There's probably a few more, but yeah, you're right. They're usually pretty bad.
Isn't oh my god, why can I not remember? You know the one that looks like a dumb beetle that has the
Heracross,
Heracross, yeah.
he's pretty good. Um, he's up there. He gets too many. I think he's too many weaknesses to be viable, and I think other things do his job better. But yeah, he's not like Beedrill, who sucks, or like
Or a butterfly.
Butterfree's trash, or any of those kind of like Dustox or Beautifly. These things are terrible.
Yeah, I mean there is no there, and it saddens me that there isn't that level of diversity that makes them strong because I personally like bug type Pokemon, and
Yeah,
I wish you hit a stage with them where, you know, like I have a distinct memory of getting into a certain area in Gen 4 where all of I was just I because I'm weird and I do runs with different types, and getting to about stage 4 of, you know, of grinding and just being completely wiped out because none of them could really compete, and just the amount of grinding you had to do to level them to a stage where they could actually put up a fight against anything
right.
was atrocious, you
I
know.
suck.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's just it makes me unhappy as a Pokemon fan, you know.
yeah.
But but to actually get on back to a slightly kind of better topic, what do we all think of these kind of the newer ones that kind of they're not HD remakes, but they're coming out for the Nintendo 3DSs, and there are new packagings coming out for like the skins that were the original kind of box art for blue and red, which is
Yep.
where I started out. I think they're really cool looking, and I already have a DS, so I need to like hopefully hope that they will, you know, sell the faceplates, and that I'm not just going to have to buy another DS purely for the faceplates. Because
Do you have a new? Do you have a new 3DS?
I do, because
Oh, okay.
I'm one of those.
No, it's cool.
I'm one of those. But then again, I like pretty much every sort of franchise in the Pokemon series. The only one that I never really got into was Rangers.
Yeah, I've never played anything other than the main series.
I made this plea at Christmas, and I will make it again. Please play Mystery Dungeon. The new Mystery Dungeon is out for you guys, and if you have access to a 3DS, please play it.
Yeah.
It's getting great reviews, and it'll totally kind of just change your perspective slightly for the traditional Pokemon. And you might love it, or you might hate it. And if you hate it, you can just post it to me, and I'll play it, and I'll be happy. So,
Alright.
so you guys can go do that. But I would definitely recommend you branching out, because there have been some really sort of interesting games that have come out in the franchise that aren't main, like Pokepark. I really liked Pokepark for the Wii.
You know what was the best one? It was Pokemon Snap.
Oh, absolutely. Pokemon
Oh,
Snap
yeah.
was where kind of the subs kind of franchise really started to really kick off. How much did you guys ever play Pokemon Snap?
When I was a kid when it came out, and I was watching my brother maybe play it. It just, I don't know, I didn't really play it much. Just watched him, just interact with Pokemon. The cool thing about it was just like, it's like you felt like you were living in this world. It's how their behaviors. Before that, people were just used to the Game Boy, where you just look at static little two-dimensional images and just kind of watch them fidget and attack one another. But now this time you can actually see kind of beyond from the show just how they kind of react to you and your environment, and little Easter eggs here and there if you do certain things. So they had a lot of replay value in that respect. And the cool thing is, of course, when you go to Blockbuster, you could print out your photos you take in the game. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, those booths were pretty fun. I'll tell you what Game Freak need to do. Absolutely what Game Freak need to do is they need to build an AR version of Pokemon Snap that we can all have in our mobiles.
Oculus Rift, yeah.
Well, they're doing that.
Well,
what is it? Sort of. I forget what it's called. Like Pokemon
Go.
Go? Yeah, that's it.
But I think that's more kind of like a battle and collect things. I want to use my smartphone to find a hidden Pikachu in my house.
That's what it is, isn't it?
And I want to open my closet and for my phone to vibrate because I'm close to the closet and there's a Pikachu in my closet.
I think that's what Pokemon Go is supposed to be. I mean, it's only been trailers and like teasers, so I don't know what it's actually going to be. But from what it looked like it was saying, it was like, oh, look through your smartphone, look through the camera, and you'll see Squirtle over there. So I think that's what it's supposed to be. I'm not sure, though. Well, you have to see when it actually comes out what it is. But you might be getting that.
I might be, but I would really like it to know where I am based on like Google Maps or something, to know that if I'm near a beach, then I can see a Lapras. Like that would be awesome. Like I would live in that. I would pay money to experience that. Like I would pay an obscene amount of money to experience that, But there's a lot of really kind of cool ways, I think, with the advancement of technology, that we can really kind of take Pokemon past its sort of traditional RPG streak. So I've already talked about mine, and it's kind of being implemented in Pokemon Go, but we'll see. What would you guys like to see for the franchise going forward?
Less silly. Stop adding a lot of stuff. I'm okay with Mega Evolutions, but I don't want Mega Evolutions or like super ridiculous things. Oh, I hate that for the VGC this year, they made it, they made a lot of the legendary Pokemon legal in the metagame.
Oh, wow, really? What?
Yeah, they made, the only things that are legal now are the mystical Pokemon. So, like Mew, Jirachi, Celebi, those, Victini, I don't remember the other ones. But they're all illegal, but Groudon, Rayquaza, Lugia, Ho-Oh, Kyogre, all those things are now legal in the VGC.
How does that work?
Well, it's Weather Wars.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where it's just like, and it's not even Weather Wars because Groudon is better. It's just objectively better than Mega Kyogre. But so that's kind of stupid. I don't like that. And I think they've done that before where they put the Ubers back in the metagame, or they put them back in the VGC. But I think it's just on like a 3-year rotation or something. So take that out. Ooh, no, I don't want that. And most of the stuff I want is really specific because I want to be able to play the game. I want them to have a singles ladder on the game because they never have like a standard 6v6 competitive mode on the cartridge. It's always like battle spot or double battles, all these weird formats that aren't 6v6. And the only way to do it is to go to Pokemon Showdown or some simulator. But I want to have the option to be able to play it on my card and not have to go somewhere else to play 6v6. So that's what I want.
Yeah, no, that would be a super interesting, particularly because a lot of the kind of the random battles that you meet where you would have different kind of, you might not have your 6 until a certain stage. So if you kind of walk into a battle where it's suddenly 4v3, I think.
What do you mean?
So imagine if you were going through game as normal, right? Just, and the way you come across doubles battles, but if you don't have 2 Pokemon, the doubles battles just go, oh, you need another Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
I would like to go into that match 1v2 anyway.
Well, they do that, don't they?
No, they always decline you. And they'll be like,
oh really?
Yeah, they'll go, no, you don't have your you know, you don't have a second Pokemon. Come back to us when you
Oh,
have
okay.
your second Pokemon.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I think that would be really interesting to like. Can you imagine for like the you know the way you always have like your rival battle or kind of Team Magma or Team Rocket or whatever. Can you imagine like them all ganging up on you and it's like, you know, two of them versus one of you, and it's
like a horde battle or something.
Yeah, like that would be really cool. And I think they're getting to that stage where, particularly in long grass in the later generations, you can walk into a group of like Odyshes,
sucky Pokemon.
yeah, and kind of go, okay, this is not good. But you at least have the option of feeling that kind of that thing of, oh, I might not want to be here, or going, yep, I'm going to take every single one of them down. I want that option to happen in proper fights there, where it's actually, you know, where there's more kind of a consequence to you, you know, failing battles, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what I'd like. I'd like kind of like the next kind of dimension of that, you know?
Yep.
What about you, Eric?
Sorry. Sorry, what were you asking? Sorry.
Pokemans.
What would you like in the kind of to see in the series?
Oh, right. I had an idea for that actually. I remember seeing a fan-made, independently made game, I think a Kickstarter, but it ended up being shit, like a lot of what comes out of Kickstarter. But it had an interesting idea. The footage, the trailer looked promising. Like having like a fully next-gen kind of like take on traditional Pokemon games where you like it's an RPG and you collect Pokemon, you battle, but then it's all real-time based. You control your Pokemon real-time and you fight them instead of turn-based, and like a fully functioning three-dimensional environment. And like that would have been a really cool take on it. I feel like that's what's been needed in the series for a long time. There isn't anything like that right now, to my knowledge, right?
No, not so far as I'm aware.
Nope.
Yeah. So I think if it was like, Pokemon, traditional Pokemon concept, but you had more of a, kind of, Skyrim-esque or Fallout kind of art, open world nature of, exploring, collecting items, etc. And, but your weapons are basically Pokemon, but they're all fully functional. Every Pokemon's different in how you control them. So it'd be really, really different from what other RPGs offer.
Yeah, cool. That sounds good.
Yes.
Okay, so what do we all think about Netflix stopping with proxies? What's everybody's opinion on it?
I think it's necessary for them to do it. They don't really have a choice. That they have to comply with local copyright or whatever the local copyright laws or distribution laws are, that if they didn't crack down on it, that the governments or the FCCs or what have you, the publishers, the distributors would then harp on Netflix for not cracking down on people who jump regions. So I don't really think I blame them for doing it, that they have to. They don't really have a choice if they want to stay in business and have functional relationships with distributors, because no one's going to want to put stuff on there if, like, oh, I can just go somewhere else and get it. Like, no one wants the region hoppers or people who, they would probably see it as, oh, you're stealing content you're not supposed to see. If I go on the Netherlands server and see some TV series that I'm not supposed to see in the U.S., that they'd be like, well, we didn't pay for you to be able to see it. You should be able to... they have to do it, or else somebody's going to come down on them. So while it's inconvenient for people, I can't really see how hard they're going to crack down on it either. I think it's mostly just a posturing effort. They're like, oh, we're going to get these guys if they do it. And while they'll crack down at first and probably be a little more harsh, it's not going to be like they're going to ban your account if you hop regions. So we'll see what happens. I'm not too concerned over it.
So just so I understand, does this mean that Netflix is kind of like basically try to do their best to prevent people from streaming their exclusive shows? Say, like, if I went to a streaming site and it was streaming something like Daredevil or House of Cards?
No. So each region So there are they have different programming for different regions of the world. So in the US, in the UK, they have different Netflix libraries. And what people do is
Oh,
they'll go through a proxy.
change the
Uh,
region.
they'll change their region so they can access the different Netflix libraries for different
Right.
regions. So now they're saying, "Oh, we're going to crack down on people who do that because we don't want people doing that."
Well, that sucks for people who just want to watch the show.
Yeah. But I think it's a necessary evil. Like, there's no way of them going, yeah, who cares? Use it, because then they'll get screwed. So I don't think I think they'll crack down, but it's not going to be the end of the world. You can still probably get away with it if you want.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where I know that a couple of VPNs have been blocked already from Netflix, so where you
Yeah.
can't access it at all. So there has been a kind of a semi sort of, a more kind of firmer stance on it, I guess. I think it's more going to affect, how people would consume Netflix in general, because a lot of what people kind of do on Netflix, and I had the awkward exchange with somebody from customer care, not realizing that somebody had changed the VPN on my laptop, going, why doesn't X work? And why can't I see X anymore? Only for the customer service person to be like, because you're using a VPN. And I'm like,
How did that get there?
I was not aware. A load of boys had stayed over. Somebody had changed my VPN. I hadn't copped it for obvious reasons because it looked the same to me. So I didn't think anything of it. It just wasn't. What I was bitching about was something really stupid. You know the way Netflix used to just play the same shows all the time and you didn't need to like press a button to say that you were still watching it? It just kept rolling it. It had stopped, and I had contacted customer service being like, how do I switch it back on? I'm too lazy. And they were just like, yeah, VPN. And I was like, sorry about that. And, and in fairness to the person who I was dealing with, they were just like, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Sometimes you just don't know about these things.
Right.
And they were super chill about it. And so shout out to, the Netflix customer care staff. You're all awesome.
They also don't want to lose your business. Like, they're not just going to ban people because they're paying customers.
Yeah.
I mean, YouTube would do that because you don't pay to use YouTube, but you pay $10 a month or whatever it is in wherever you live. If you pay a monthly fee to access their library. They don't want to cut off that revenue stream. They don't want to have to cut off paying customers.
Yeah.
They'll do it if people are abusing things,
Yeah,
but if you
absolutely.
just use a VPN, they don't want to ban you.
Well,
So
that and there's no, because you're still using their service. You're still paying them for it. You're just using
Yeah.
VPN to get to other things. So
Yeah.
I can understand why up until this point. I think it's more the likes of like Shareflix and stuff like that have come across recently where they have just taken the directories of the Netflix stuff and
Well,
gone through different stuff. It's basically it's the usual thing of somebody ruining it for the rest of us.
and
you
it's
know?
and it's also an older way of thinking, not meshing with current distribution methods. We have you have older distribution companies who are used to. I think I read something about how Netflix is kind of wrecking after theater distribution rights or something, like TV distribution rights, that places like HBO and Showtime would sign agreements to be like, okay, we're interested in it here, but Netflix comes in and snatches it up. And having different policies for different regions was probably useful at one point or another when you had to ship, like, if let's say you could only ship VHS tapes, or you were only showing it on TV, that geographical location plays a part in how you distribute something. With Netflix, that's not really the case anymore. The fact that you have different regions is somewhat arbitrary. Like, there's no reason why the US library is different from the UK library, other than that's the system it developed in. There's no specific reason why, there's no logical reason why those two libraries are different. It's not that, different people like different things here. At least that's not what I think. Because if so, you just have one big library. It's just that it exists in an environment. It's new technology, relatively new technology, coming in to clash with older ways of distributing content. And so, yeah, at first it's going to be a little wonky because no one knows what they're doing, and it's going to take time for people to evolve and for Netflix to kind of find its footing. So I think the problem isn't with Netflix, it's with distributors in general, with how you distribute a movie afterwards, because the whole process is being shaken up. And instead of saying, okay, let's roll the punches, they want to say, no, we want to keep doing it the same way we've been doing it for years and years and years and years. Um, and for things to change, they need to adapt. And I think they will do that eventually. But now we're kind of seeing like the death throes. We're seeing just distributors saying, no, we want to keep it like it is. We want to keep it the old way. But you already have people moving away from the old way. So it'll change eventually. But the having a conflict with them cracking down on VPNs, I think, is necessary. And it's not going to be a problem soon enough.
Yeah, I think it's all about kind of the freedom of the media we consume and how we kind of take it for granted.
Yeah, and that it isn't free, but it's so easy to access, and there are so many ways of getting it. We kind of forget that there are ways, people want. It was much harder, and it always wasn't like this. And not everyone sees the sharing of information as simply as we do, especially us. Growing up with the internet being as robust as it is, we see, oh, I want a song, I can go get it. Super easy. I want to find this video, super easy. I can find it wherever. And we're not used to having to jump through hoops and go through different platforms just to get something we want. So.
Have you got any input on that, Eric?
Yeah, I pretty much agree. Like, considering just with this current day and age of digital interaction, I would say a good 99% of things is free if you just know how to do it, what to do, how to download it. Like my roommate from a year ago literally just downloads everything. Doesn't matter. It's just like, I feel like Netflix is doing it because, makes some sort of effort, but at the end of the day, like, you can stream pretty much anything. I feel like it's going to have a negligible difference on how people are going to get what they want to get.
Yeah, they're going to get it somehow. I mean, it's just kind of like it's somebody beating their chest. It's a posturing maneuver that they have bite now, but down the road, like, it's not going to matter anymore. This will be a moot point in a number of years.
Yeah, sure. So, what do we all think? And I think this will be our final topic for today, as it is quite a doozy. What do we think about all of these Hitman changes? We knew something was funky when the PS4 pre-orders were starting to get pulled from the PlayStation Store. So anybody who had received any of this information, or downloaded their pre-order, it all suddenly got emails being like, yeah, this is being changed and we'll be re-uploading stuff. And this is when people started to get concerned, because originally what Hitman was being sold to us as was this massive online kind of, I suppose, WoW-esque kind of thing, where 365 days you got targets that you needed to assassinate and things like that. And now that has been moved towards more episodic content. They haven't really been any more specific than that. I would presume it's along the lines of you have set objectives per episode to achieve, so either killing somebody or whatever. To me, this is, I don't know, like, I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really understand why the pre-orders were canceled. Like, why would you have to cancel them if, you can just say the release date will have changed? I don't see why you'd have to cancel the pre-orders. But I was initially concerned. I was kind of just like, oh no, please God, tell me we aren't going to, like, have it where we're going to have to do, like, a crap ton of paid DLC or something like that. But according to what I read, it's largely the same. to me, I don't think it's anything super negative. It seems like the original model is for the most part in place. I'm not going to have to pay extra beyond the $60 price tag because I feel like they understand the frustration when it comes to paid DLC and how, and especially for day one DLC, like season pass crap, that sort of stuff. And their current model is still very much the same. Like it being, if you just want to kind of dip your feet into the content and only pay half of it in like 20 something or something like that, 30 something bucks, and then you decide later on, okay, I want the rest of it, and then you pay the rest. But the catch being you pay $5 extra in the end if you do that. But if you just buy it altogether $60 from the get-go, then you get everything coming to you. Just like any other game, I'm just going to treat it as I'm not going to buy it until I see extensive reviews and how people react to it. But I am a huge Hitman fan. I thought Absolution was a huge step backwards. I think they completely missed the point of what Hitman is, and I love Blood Money. And I'm thrilled that the developers know that. They know that fans want more of Blood Money kind of gameplay, more sandbox. And the demo I saw blew my mind. I couldn't believe just how big the map was. Just one map where it's like a huge building where they're having a fashion shoot, and you can explore every little room. And any one of those like seemingly like dozens and dozens of NPCs can be chosen as a potential like a target in contracts mode. And yeah, just the sandbox seems incredible. And they fixed the disguise mechanic. That's what pissed me off the most about Absolution, was that the disguise mechanic now makes sense, where just because you're wearing a disguise, the person, like say you're wearing a cop uniform, another officer isn't just going to recognize you right off the bat just because you're wearing the same uniform. Like that made no sense. So yeah, I'm still looking forward to it. I guess I don't feel as negatively about it because I don't have a PS4 to begin with, so it doesn't really bother me. And I plan on getting on PC. So yeah.
Yeah. I've never played a Hitman game, and I don't particularly care about Hitman, so it doesn't like bug me on a personal level. But from just the fact that they've moved to episodic, they've done that before. Not this developer, but they did it with Fable 2. This was post-release, but on the Xbox Live Marketplace, they released the first episode. They split it up into 5 episodes, I think it was. They gave you the first episode of Fable 2 for free, and then you could buy the next 4 individually or all at once. And I think that's fine. Like it doesn't wall you from any content, and it's not in a $5 difference if you want to try it out first. I don't think that's a big deal. Like $5 for, let's say you only play the first 2 and you're like, I don't want to finish this. You've saved money. Or if you only play the first one, you're like, this is trash. I don't want to play this anymore. You've saved money. Only if you play the whole thing do you lose $5. And in this grand scheme, that's nothing. Like losing $5 is not a big deal. So, and there is still the option to buy it all at once as just a game. It's just a fully functioning game. I think the content still rolls out episodically, but it's kind of like a season pass where you just buy it all at once, but whatever. I don't see anything wrong with that. Giving more options is always a good thing. They're not taking away anything. So I think it's fine. As far as pulling the pre-orders, I can understand it, because what if they hadn't pulled the pre-orders and then they delivered a product that was completely different from what somebody pre-ordered? I didn't follow this until very recently. So if you were saying that it was original like a Hitman MMO, is that right?
Wait, no.
Well,
the Hitman never had a multiplayer component.
Okay, that's why I was confused. But was there did they state why they pulled the pre-orders?
I'm not too clear on that. So what I was saying earlier is that, well, how come you wouldn't just, just change the release date? Why would you have to remove all these pre-orders?
Since I'm not well versed on, I can see why you would, if the product fundamentally changed. Like if you started building a different game, like if your visions of like, all right, Hitman 6 is going to be this, and then down the line you drastically change it. So I mean, the billing model, I can kind of understand why they would pull pre-orders. Like, okay, we don't want to give you something that you weren't expecting, or we don't want to. Okay, let's say you pre-ordered it when it was just a $60 game, and then they rolled out the episodic way of paying for it in the episodic release schedule, and then they're like, nope, we won't cancel your pre-order. You're stuck into buying the whole thing. Then people get mad because, oh, what if I want to buy it episodically? So I think this is a safer way of doing it than just keeping everyone's pre-orders but changing the product, because I think that'd be way shittier if they left the pre-orders alone and then changed what you were getting. So
Yeah, absolutely.
But were they changing all that much?
Well, the whole kind of, at least as far as I'm aware of it, because I was following it from the beginning, was that it was going to be an online experience where 365 days you did have targets to assassinate, and the whole objective was to get there before the others. And you would work in groups and you would go to assassinate people, and that, as far as I was aware, was the original kind of construct of where they were going with the $60 Hitman, right? Now they have changed that, as far as I'm aware, to being episodic. So it now being more structurally tailored, so maybe elements of that whole online system for kind of quests and stuff like that has now been merged into an episodic experience.
Right. And that sounds different enough from the first thing you said, the updating mission objectives or whatever, to more of a traditional, not exactly a traditional, but more of a traditional Hitman experience. So I can understand why they pulled the pre-orders. As long as they said, hey, we canceled your pre-order, here's your money back. I think it's okay. It's better than just giving it a totally different thing that they promised.
Yeah, sure. So for those of us who have been living under a rock, CES was a couple of weeks ago in Las Vegas, and we got a pretty impressive amount of tech goodness out of it from all areas, from mobile phones, laptops to VR. There was a lot of interesting things to find. So what would everybody's kind of top 5 would be? Mine is in no particular order, but I'm going to start with the Robin, which is a phone that is based on mobile technology, so nothing is actually it has inbuilt storage, but everything is all processed to the cloud. So if you weren't using, let's say, Spotify for a few weeks, then it would uninstall it for you. And then all you would have to do is tap the icon and everything is restored to the status that it was previously at. I think that is a really cool kind of progression in terms of mobile technology.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, and it's something really interesting for me. And I think that's a great step forwards in terms of, how much we consume, and storage being such a big thing for consumers. So I think that is a really kind of interesting step forward, and it will be really interesting to see how the reception is for it later on, when it actually kind of fully rolls out and all the rest. My second would be the Razer Blade Stealth and the Razer Core that came with it. So for anybody who doesn't know, the Razer Blade is an ultrabook based on gaming, kind of ultrabook stats, but ultrabook specs, but doesn't have any dedicated graphics. This is where the Core comes in. So the Core is basically kind of like for a desktop setup. So it has its own dedicated graphics and high speeds and stuff like that. So it's basically, allowing you to have desktop specs, but just plugging it in through your ultrabook. And it's really cool. So the third one would be everything that I've seen, which kind of culminates the rest of my top 5 from HTC, their Vive, Oculus with the Rift, and there were a couple of really sort of unique players that weren't looking for the same kind of amount of money as Oculus or HTC. I can't remember the names off the top of my head, which is really bad for me, but they're basically like visors, and they're super cool to look at. And I think that the amount of emphasis that is being placed on VR is really interesting, but that it'll be really interesting to see where it runs, because it's not at that stage yet where it is 100% commercially viable yet. It's something that people need to experience in order to actually be engaged in it. The most experience that I've ever had with VR is going into a Samsung store and checking out their Samsung VR, which I was blown away with. But I think the uniqueness of gaming really has to be tailored to what VR can offer, which is an entirely different podcast, you know? So nothing worth kind of getting into here. But those would be kind of the things that really impressed me from CES this year.
Eric, yeah, go ahead, because I don't, I didn't really pay attention to CES.
So yeah, I've only been paying attention a little bit here and there, but some things that caught my eye were the rollable TV, the LG rollable TV. It's basically a flat screen, high end. It's called the OLED, and it's a really nice looking flat screen, but you can roll it up like a newspaper. And I'm just like, this is, to me, that's pretty game changing. I can take this thing anywhere I want, and I can just set it up anywhere and get a really high quality, visuals, more so than my crappy 20-inch LCD screen I have right now. And I bet it would cost an arm and a leg, but still.
Right.
And then I just saw just a couple of bizarre things. I would like to note one of them being an exosuit that simulates the user being crippled. And it's just like, why the fuck would I want that? But what the implications are, I think, is what it can be used for people who are crippled or paralyzed. And I actually have a friend whose father is a very world-renowned doctor, neurologist, working on building an exosuit that links up to your nervous system, and so people who are quadriplegics can walk again. If you saw the World Cup from 2 years ago in Brazil, the opening kicking of the ball, just the opening ceremony, was a quadriplegic child using that same machine that he worked on. So that worked on. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
It's pretty game-changing stuff. So that kind of technology is very important. I think exosuits can change a whole lot of things. I mean, you've seen it in those crappy Call of Duty games that the military tends to use to enhance the soldier's ability to move and lift heavy objects, and for people who are paralyzed. Yeah. And another thing I saw was actually kind of useful. I think if it worked the way it's intended, it's some sort of device that uses an actual artificial intelligence that protects your smart devices from hacking. So your smartphones, your smart TV, your gaming systems, your computers, all in one. And so it's like having Cortana in your systems, in theory. So that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that does sound pretty cool.
And then I saw one where it's 3D drawing, and it's actually out now. You can buy it at Toys R Us. It's a little pen that uses it simultaneously paints and dries something at the same time. I'm not sure what kind of substance it uses. So you can you start from surface and you build up, and you can draw completely three-dimensional models. They were showing how they just drew a completely real life-size model of a crab, and among other things. And it's pretty cool idea. And then obviously the VR tech is we are advancing in so many different ways with the VR technology we have now, not just the Oculus Rift. And I just remember watching some video footage of it. It's just first-person view, obviously, and now you can use your hands completely to interact with different objects. I'm seeing people do ice climbing, traveling in space as an astronaut, and if it's say 20 years from now and this technology gets perfected or something like that, it could really change things, how we play games. Apparently, a woman puked from motion sickness, but at the demo. But we're getting there. And then, go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, I was going to say that happened with 3D movies too, where when they first started getting rolled out again with Avatar and things like that, or 2010, whenever it was, people got motion sick because of it. So I think no matter how good the technology is, you're probably just going to have a ton of people who are just incompatible with it for some reason.
That happened to me at the launch of the original 3DS in London. So so I can guarantee you it has affected a small minority of us. I fear VR for that reason, purely due to my own emotions.
I'm sure.
But but it's something that I hope that it will kind of level itself out. I just won't be going, on any roller coaster simulators anytime soon.
Right.
Yeah, and this is kind of an extra one, but they have a device or the technology where it's a Fallout 4 face capture you can put on your character, which I'm sure is going to be extended to other games as well. But we've seen this before. You ever played Rainbow Six Vegas? They had if you have a webcam, you can capture your face onto your character. But it's 9 times out of 10 it looks fucking awful. My face does not suit a body of a special forces operator. Sorry, it just doesn't work that way. I look horrible. And and what's funny to see is when people screw around with it and they start getting pictures of stormtroopers and put it in their bodies, that sort of thing. One person tried to take a picture of their literal bare ass. I'm not sure how that turned out. But yeah, and I saw the Fallout 4 one, and it's not that much better. But if that can be improved upon just the texture wise, then yeah, I can imagine customization will be a lot more fun in the future.
So I think that's it for this episode of Noobist. I'd like to thank my guests for this cast, Eric and Jeremy. You can find Eric at...
I recently just created a blog. Nothing's on it yet, but you can find me at dankkushlord.wordpress.com. That is DANKKUSHLORD.
And you can find Jeremy at...
Gbits on Twitter and Too Many Games on Tumblr.
And I was your host, Laura Fagan. You can find me at Miss Laura Fagan on Twitter. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, if you like this content, please give us a 5-star review or a like or a favourite or whatever system you're on iTunes or your podcast services or YouTube or wherever you're happening to find us. It all helps spread the word of the Noobist. And until next time, remember that the Noobist.com is the place to go for all of your nerd content.